It's the same phenomenon with Jack Frost because he is just not walking with legs. He's like, what would you call? How would you describe how snowmen walk? Sliding or like shuffling?
That's a good question because you could either do a shuffle or you could do like a caterpillar kind of.
What are those like knapsack races?
Like a 3-legged race?
Sapsack? No. Hop sack, corn, burlap sack. What is that called? Sack racing?
Sack race.
Is it called sack race?
Yeah.
How would you describe how you traverse in a sack race?
It's kind of like thrusting forward.
Or like when you walk in a sleeping bag. Is that shuffling? Maybe it's shuffle thrusting.
It's a shuffle thrust for sure.
It's like thruffling. We're going to refer to whenever Jack moves as a snowman, he is thruffling in this movie.
Ho, ho, ho!
Ho, 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 you corn dog motherfuckers. Welcome in.
Whoa.
We are back from our Thanksgiving break, and we're already in December. It's Christmas time, and we are watching a couple Christmas movies this month. I am one of your hosts. I am Jimmy Nutcracker, Crack the Corn Dog Man himself, the festive man of the hour. I'm James. I'm one of your hosts.
Wow, I don't know how I can compete with the energy you had on that, James, but you're right. It is snowy season, and I am Nick, and I am the chief corn dog. I am corn dog. I am wrapped up in a bow, delivered to your front door under the tree from Santa Claus. I don't know, but we're here, and it do be Christmas season.
All right. You say you're not good at intros, but that was impressive.
Hey, I'm here. I don't know if it even made sense. I blacked out for a second, if I was being honest.
You were riffing. Well, hey, welcome in, everybody. We're watching, I would say this is a Christmas classic because I've seen this movie quite a bit in my childhood. Nick, have you seen this movie at all beforehand?
Honestly, no.
Wow. Okay. For some reason, I have vivid memories of watching this movie repetitively during Christmas time. And I thought I could have swore we watched it in school one year.
We may have, but that doesn't mean I remember it.
Well, speaking of, this week we watched and reviewed Michael Keaton's Jack Frost from 1998.
Not to be confused with the B-grade horror movie Jack Frost.
That came out a year prior.
From 1997.
Yeah.
Would you be mad if you were the studio producing this 1998's Jack Frost and Jack Frost came out a year before as a terrible horror slasher movie? I've never seen it, so I don't know what it is really.
I watched a trailer for it. Do yourself a favor and watch the trailer. It's pretty hilarious. It looks like really bad, like really like cheap.
I did see the poster for the Jack Frost 2 from the horror movie, and all it said was he's back and he's slicing and dicing. And I was like, well, you got my attention.
Missed opportunity to watch that before this one. Could have watched that during spooky season, the murderous snowman. But this is a little bit of a more friendly family Christmas movie we got going on that also features a snowman.
Most definitely.
All right. So this movie is directed by Troy Miller. And I think this movie is actually his first feature film he directed. I don't know if he dove into his IMDb.
I know he did produce a few episodes of Arrested Development. Not a few, like 20 plus, which is a fun show I enjoy.
Okay.
And Flight of the Conchords.
Oh, cool.
Also a very funny TV series. But when you juxtapose that with the heartwarming family film of Jack Frost, you're like, I don't know, friend. Both of those were, 9, 10, 15 years after the Jack Frost debut. So
yeah, that says it looks like he directed Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, but it's not Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
So that's all you need to know.
A year later, he also directed the 76th Annual Academy Awards.
If you look at his IMDb, he's just
working, man. He's just working.
Yeah, he's out here grinding.
Dude, he is out here grinding. Holy shit. Like, he's actually directed a hell of stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of comedy specials. Seeing Nate Bargatze,
Jim Gaffigan,
Marlon Wayans,
Joe Coy,
Chelsea Handler, George Lopez, Jeff Dunham.
A few episodes of Parks and Rec as well.
Oh, which episodes? What are the titles?
Ron and Tammy, the telethon episode.
Oh, telethon episode is great.
The road trip episode from season 3.
All right, cool. Way to go, Troy Miller. We'll see if you had the chops to be on the slate. In this movie stars Michael Keaton, Kelly Preston, and Joseph Cross. Now, we all know Michael Keaton. He's been featured on the podcast before. He was Bruce Wayne in Tim Burton's 1989's Batman, also a Warner Brothers property, just like this movie. So we all know Michael Keaton. Did you recognize anybody else, Nick? At least of these top billed guys?
Not from the top build guys, no.
So Kelly Preston, her name sounds familiar. Apparently she was the mom in The Cat in the Hat, the Mike Myers one from 2003.
Who could forget?
She was in Jerry Maguire. Oh, what? She was in Battlefield Earth? Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, well now, hold on.
Okay, I just opened up a whole can of worms. Holy shit. Wait, was she like one of the hoe bag aliens that John Travolta was like trying to pimp?
I don't know, dude. This is a whole, you're blowing my mind right now.
All right, I don't know if we're going to end on time now. I'm going down a rabbit hole on IMDb.
She was Chirk. Definitely an alien name.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the name that she played in Battlefield Earth?
Chirk. Chirk.
Can you use that in a sentence?
I'm going to chirk that hoe. It sounds a little dirty.
She's kind of way down there on the call sheet, I'll say.
Definitely an extra.
Battlefield Earth Chirk. I mean, like there was that one girl that, I think she was the one with the CGI tongue.
Holy smokes.
Oh my God. She is.
Oh my goodness.
Dude. Yeah. She was the one that was like all sultry with Turl. John Travolta.
Wow.
Joseph Cross. I did recognize this, that he plays the kid, and it took me a minute. And I just decided this is that guy from that straight to video B movie, street racing movie I've seen randomly from some streaming service called Born to Race, which is kind of just subpar. It's like it was hopping on the Fast and Furious craze, and honestly, it was like pretty decent for its status and its budget. And this guy actually still has a pretty successful acting career.
He was just in Licorice Pizza.
He was in Licorice Pizza, and he was in Big Little Lies season 1. He was like the kid with the the kid with the beanie at the coffee shop, I think. But for whatever reason, I just like in my memory, I just recognized him from the straight to video street racing movie. For those listening at home, it's called Born to Race. TO is the title, but on the promotional poster, they do put the number 2 for Born to Race. So you're thinking, is this a sequel? Are they doing Too Fast, Too Furious? This is not a smart decision on their part. Very confusing. Very misleading.
Should never use a 2 in the title unless it's the sequel.
Show some respect to Ludacris and Too Fast, Too Furious, my guys. Come on. All right. Well, rounding out our quick info for this movie, this is where we usually reveal the budget, but guess what, everybody? You got to sound that alarm and run for your goddamn lives, because we got a bomb incoming. This is a box office bomb, baby.
Boom! Bombastic reviews. You just got blown up. The Bomba Yaga. Bombastic. It sucks.
Biggity bomb. We'll be breaking down this movie in the plot talk, and by the end of it, we'll be doing a budget reveal. And one of us will need to be guessing the budget and the box office return. I, unfortunately, am in the hot seat. I need to guess what the budget was and what the box office was. So apparently this bombed. And this was very close to being a 40-40 offender, because at the time of checking, the average score was a 45.6. So not stellar across the board.
I have some questions about that 45.6 as well. But
it did just barely beat it, and it's not a flop to our standards. But this is a bomb for our standards. Now, for a reminder, a bomb is when you lose out on 40% of your budget minimum. And that's my only clue I got going for me. So I will be guessing the budget, the box office, after we break down this movie, talk about effects, talk about locations, talk about actors. And then we'll just dive in of what we think, what money went where, and how it got broken down.
Like we normally do. Well, what do you say, James? We start diving into Jack Frost. I'm going to hit you with the log line, and we're going to enter some plot talk. You in?
Hell yeah. Let's go. Let's snow, baby.
All right. The log line. Let's snow, you son of a bitch. All right. From IMDb, a father who can't keep his promises is killed in a car accident 1 year later, he returns as a snowman who has the final chance to put things right with his son before he is gone forever.
Well, spoilers, jeez. There's like 2 spoilers in there.
The whole movie's pretty spoiled, to be honest. All right, James, it's time for plot talk.
Let's enter plot talk. Plot talk. We open up on some blues music, some raspy voices singing, and this is actually Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton did record 2 songs. He is on the track. He's doing vocals for, I believe they're singing Frosty the Snowman in the opening song. We're gathering that Michael Keaton is a guy named Jack Frost, and we can tell because he's the lead singer of a band with a sign behind them that says the Jack Frost Band.
Very original.
I thought, are they just huge Jack Frost fans? But no, he's literally Jack Frost, and he just happens to be singing a Frosty the Snowman song. So you're thinking, okay, maybe this is like a Christmas band. I don't know.
A little serendipitous.
I have to say, during this opening sequence, though, these snowflake CGI credits were getting pretty goddamn annoying. Every single time a name popped up, a CGI snowflake would spread across the screen, and then it would go shing every 4 seconds. Shing, shing. It was. What are those things with the like a wind chime with the stick?
Yeah,
like the instrument. What is that? Just called a wind chime instrument?
Yeah, it's a chime.
Yeah, they chime. They be chiming every single time a name chimes on screen, and I'm like, okay, stop chiming. Like, you're distracting from the blues music. This is very conflicting.
We're done with the chimes.
It's chime to stop.
You and your puns. So we have it. So what we learn about our boy Jack Frost is that he's really focused on his music, and he's trying to make it big. He's on the cusp of getting a record deal. This is really big for him, right? Anybody in their career who's been like on the cusp of their dreams, not even dreams, just on the cusp of something big, is clearly very excited about it.
There's a guy in the crowd who is scouting them, and he actually does the Back to the Future thing with the phone.
Yes.
He was like, in Back to the Future when the guy's like, hey, Chuck Berry, you know that sound you were looking for? Well, listen to this. And then the guy does the same thing. He's like, I think I got the sound you were looking for. Listen to this. And he holds the phone out, and it's like, what, a blues band singing Frosty the Snowman?
On the first iteration of cell phones.
Yeah, a flip phone.
Check it out.
It sounds so bad over the cell phone, dude.
But our boy Jack Frost has a family, has a wife and a kid, and he's on the road because he's in a band, right? So they're at home. Dad's on tour, but Dad does come home. And at this point, we realize that Jack he's a really good family man. He loves his family.
He loves music, and he does love his family, and it's hard for him to choose between the two of them.
Comes in the door, sees his wife, loves her, wakes up his kid. He's probably tired. He's been traveling all night, but he goes outside. It's snowing. They build a snowman.
They go outside at like 10:30 at night and build a snowman. Fucking freezing.
They're romping around in the snow. You're like, wow, this guy's all about his family. I read the log line. I'm like, oh, this guy's been a bad dad. I don't have any impression of that so far. Seems like a pretty good dad.
It was one of those things where it's like you can tell where this was going because the son says, when's dad coming? And the mom says, oh, hopefully by this time. Hopefully. Oh, okay. But they're chilling. They're fine. They're on good terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, he's a cool guy. Because I was worried we were going to get horse sensed.
Yeah.
The secondhand cringe I had for Tommy Biggs in Horse Sense when his cousin Michael Woods bailed on Tommy Biggs so much, and it just made me cringe every time he said he was going to do something with his little cousin, and he never held up his end of the deal. Michael Keaton as Jack Frost is a good dad.
Yeah. One thing about the school scene, because it's a 90s movie, so the kids all get out of school for winter break, and there's just this massive like Saving Private Ryan style snowball fight.
They get out of school, the bell rings. Charlie Frost, who is Joseph Cross, which is not going to be confusing for us at all. Cross Frost, he goes over the snowbank, and like you said, Nick, there is just 100 kids down there in a super stylized, coordinated snowball fight.
It's like the beach of Normandy, dude. These kids are getting like pelted, like knocked out by snowballs.
Well, speaking of Tommy Biggs, Andrew Lawrence is in this movie. One of the Lawrence brothers. And speaking of Saving Private Ryan, I don't know if you caught the sound design, but there was actually bullet ricochet sound effects.
Yeah. It was
when he was crawling through the metal. It was like, pew, 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 pew. It's like, okay.
It's not that serious, guy. But yes, and then we're introduced to his bully. What's his name in the movie?
Rory Buck.
It's Rory Buck.
Spiked hair.
He's smoking a Slim Jim.
Just your 90s bully.
He's got a Slim Jim in his mouth like it's a cigar, and you're like, oh, okay, this imagery is telling me he's a big bad. He's big bad bully, big bad buck.
A lot of this movie reminded me kind of like Snow Day.
Yeah,
vibes, like very.
Yeah. And the snowplow guy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now Rory Buck, he's played by Taylor Handley, and if you look at this guy's face, you're thinking, where the hell do I know you from? And you don't. He just has a bully's face. I was like, are you from a Disney Channel original movie? I mean, he's been in tons of stuff, so maybe you'll recognize this guy. But yeah, he really fit the 90s bully bill.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Rory Buck is just smoking a Slim Jim.
Mowing kids down.
They have the high ground, and they have a whole snowball catapult thing and just wrecking fools. There's a little second grader down on the bank, and there's like I guess a girl crush. They don't really explore this too much. There's not like a love interest story with Charlie and this girl, but this girl says, can you save my little brother? I need help. And Charlie's like, yo, I'm down. Let's go in. So he gathers Andrew Lawrence. He gathers his other homies on the hockey team, and they devise a plan to go save the second grader. And they get him out. They get the second grader out. The girl, Natalie, she's all like, cool, we got my brother out of there. Great. Rory then pulls a Thanos. And instead of a post-credit scene where he puts on the Infinity Gauntlet, he instead he binds up his boots to his snowboard and says, fine, I'll do it myself.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Take care of this one myself.
And snowboards down 10 feet up to Charlie. This is how we know what Charlie and Jack's last name is, because he says, Charlie Frost, if it ain't you, blah, blah, blah. You're thinking, oh no, it's creaming time. He's about to take this kid's lunch money.
I got a present for you.
Good, I like presents.
Can you say brain freeze?
But little Charlie Frost, he's got a snowball behind his back, and then Charlie just domes this dude with a snowball. He's hiding behind his back. Like a cool guy says, brain freeze, and then walks off. And then Rory's like, this ain't over, Frost. It's like, you can beat his ass right now. You don't have to go out like that.
This isn't the end of it, Frost.
Just a snowball. Like, it's not a big deal.
Such good 90s charm.
Going back to Jack and Charlie's relationship, back at home, Charlie's kind of coping with the idea that his dad's on the road a lot. And Jack decides that his gesture to his son is he's going to give him this special harmonica. What makes this harmonica special? Well, he bought it on the day Charlie was born. So he's like, yeah, the day you were born, I went out and bought a harmonica. So here you go. So he gives it to his son, and he's like, it has magical powers. Anytime you play it, I'll be able to hear it no matter where I am. And at this point in the game, you're like, okay, so this harmonica this is it. This is the special harmonica.
This will come back at some point.
It's like the family secret rocks in My Brother the Pig. You're like, okay, this is the catalyst.
Don't even remind me about the secret rocks.
The harmonica is the secret rocks. Later on, Jack promises his son and his wife, Gabby's played by Kelly Preston, that he's going to attend Charlie's hockey game. And so he's like, yeah, I won't miss it. Everything here is pretty foreshadowed.
Every time there's like a deadbeat dad, well, he's not even like a deadbeat dad. He's trying to grind for his family for financial.
Yeah.
Make his family better off by being a better musician. But whenever there's a dad that's like kind of flaky or not around, and then there's a big game and they're supposed to be there, and then they say, of course I'll be there for your big game.
He has one chance to redeem himself.
They're not going to be there for the big game.
Never there. But it's not like Jack was out like smoking and drinking and gambling with the boys. He's out again.
He's in the studio grinding. You know what I'm saying?
He's in that studio grinding.
He's in the zone, and that's why he misses the game, because he is just like recording music with his homies. One of his homies is actually played by Mark Addy. This guy is hella familiar, but I can't really point him out from anything. But like, if you look up this guy, you'd say, there's that guy.
It's that guy.
And he kind of plays like his his good friend. He's in the band, like an uncle type figure for Charlie. But yeah, no, they're just cooking in that studio, and then it's too late. He misses the 4:30 game, and he looks up. It's like 6:00, and he fucked up.
So he misses the hockey game. Fine, happens. And he comes home late. He's like, "Oh, I missed the game."
He gets
chastised by the wife.
It's just no coming back. The scene was left with him like arms in the air, like. It's just like no, Jack. You have no excuse.
You missed your son's game. Forget the fact that you're out here grinding.
You have zero excuse.
Yeah, so to make up for it, Jack, he tells his family, hey, I'm going to take you up to the cabin. Like up in the mountains. Apparently they have a cabin. They're doing pretty well, I guess. They have a cabin up in the
they have
mountains.
A second property, but yeah, he's a starving artist.
That one didn't quite make sense to me. So everybody's excited. So in the morning, they get up, they're packing the car. And of course, what happens? Jack gets a phone call. The big music producer is like, hey, I want you to come play at a party at my house on Christmas Day.
Oh,
and this is your one big
conundrum.
Shot. Because everybody's like, you have to come show me what you got on Christmas Day.
So if a producer called you, Nick, and said, show me what you got, and this could change your life financially forever, but you have a family trip planned for Christmas, what would you do?
I'd go and do the gig.
Okay. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking there should be no debate. Get signed, get paper, push Christmas. Don't matter. Like there'll be hella Christmases. Just get your paper, dog, and make that bread for your fam. All right. So you don't have to be grinding in these clubhouses.
I agree, dude. I couldn't agree more. I thought this was a totally legitimate thing, but his son, Charlie, does not see it that way. He is upset because this kid doesn't understand the world. This is a
He's
kid.
Like, F you.
He's 11. He doesn't.
F Bad Boy Records. F Biggie Smalls. F yo bitch. And he's like, F your harmonica.
West Side. This 11-year-old just lives in a house. He doesn't know how a mortgage is paid for. And so he hands back his dad his harmonica and he's like, you keep it. And he runs back inside pouting. Jack's going to go on his way to the gig, but on his way, he realizes his mistake. And his best friend there, Mac MacArthur, his bandmate, his keyboardist in the band, he basically tells the whole band, like, we're going home for Christmas. And the whole band's like, yeah, great. No one here wants to make it. No one here has the grind set of like, no, we have to go do this. Yeah, we have to go make it big.
They're not like Jack. He's got that grind set, not that mindset. But it is because Jack does ultimately say, like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should turn around and I should go spend Christmas with my family. I'm going home for Christmas. So that's what he does. I was kind of shocked, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they turned around. Okay.
Yeah. Mac gives Jack the keys to his car and says, take the car, go up to the cabin with your family. And as Jack's driving to the family, he encounters a bad snowstorm, goes off the side of the road, and dies.
It cuts to black. We're hit with a heartbreaking time jump title card of 1 year later. And you're like, oh, did he die? I forgot that as many times as I've seen this, I forgot. So I thought it was like a Freaky Friday situation where it was like, I wish my dad was like tethered to the house and wouldn't go to music gigs. And then he like was alive, but then he just went into the snowman. But
it's a Freaky Friday situation. So did a snowman enter Jack Frost's body in your scenario?
No. Instead, in this version, he's super dead. Charlie has a super dead dad. And I hope he has a picture of him so he can show him off later.
Have I ever showed you a picture of my dead dad? You've got to see it. He's super dead.
The biggest thing that I noticed in this movie is no one feels the guilt. Like, Mac doesn't feel the guilt for being like, turn around, take the car. Here's the keys, buddy.
Take this 1970s Cadillac, whatever the hell this is, with no chains on the tires, no ABS, and just go to town on this mountain road.
In the snow.
Black ice be damned. Yeah.
His son doesn't feel bad for guilt tripping him to come up to the mountains. Like, I thought that was going to be a storyline. Like,
Jack was like, oh, I'll make the right decision. I will come home for Christmas. And he's just super dead.
Moral of the story, don't make the right decision. Keep that grind set, dude.
Christmas. Get paper.
Get paper. So a year later, the family's struggling.
It's super sad. So Charlie, it's the same kind of shot and setup from when he got released from Christmas break about 10 minutes into the movie. We're about half hour into the movie, and I'm like, where's the snowman? This is like super sad.
Where the hell's the snowman? Where's Jack Frost?
I need some shit like snowman shenanigans, snow-nanigans right now, because this is actually kind of breaking my heart. We actually get a very like sad scene where Charlie is trying to shovel snow out of the driveway, and he sees his dad's band, like a sticker on the shovel. And then he does the thing where he just kind of like attacks the driveway, like, and his mom catches up and like hugs him,
breaks down,
and they start crying. And I was like, I'm actually crying right now. This is super sad. Like, I need a snowman to show up right now. I'm so
His
sad.
dad is super dead.
He's super dead.
This is so sad. I didn't think I was going to cry at Jack Frost from 1998.
There's other kids in the neighborhood who is like making snowmen with their dads. And he's just like looking out the window, and you're like, oh man.
And the bully Rory Buck is like, oh, there goes loser Charlie Frost. And his buddy's
doesn't have
like,
a dad.
His dad's super dead.
Doesn't say that, but he's thinking it.
His buddy's like, he's not even fun to pick on anymore ever since his dad died. And then I think this is when Rory drops a hint. He's like, I know what it's like to not have a dad. And you're just like, okay, that's going to come up later. His mom comforts him in the driveway. Later on, one of these nights, he just decides, do you want to build a snowman? And he goes outside, starts building a snowman. We actually get I wasn't expecting this needle drop of Fleetwood Mac's Landslide.
Yeah.
So if you weren't already crying from the driveway scene, you're like, oh my God, he's building a snowman like he did with his dad. He's super dad.
There's a few bangers in this movie. Hanson, Lisa Loeb, the Spice Girls.
In the credits, it's jumping way ahead. In the credits, it said music by Hanson. I was like, where? There's like one song in the credits. I think it was like Dr. Love or Love Doctor.
Give Me Some Lovin'.
Yeah. A lot of bangers. I guess that's that Warner Brothers shmoney, but
they could do that. So he builds his snowman and dresses it up basically like his dad. He's got the cool hat.
He puts on, it's actually his dad's hat.
And his dad's scarf.
The original snowman that they built, I think he took his dad's hat, or Michael Keaton took off his own hat and put it on the snowman. It's like a top hat because he's like a blues musician, so it works. He's not like a weird guy that can like just happen to pull off a fedora, but he puts on his dad's hat on the snowman. There is a continuity error here that my wife caught. The scarf is on the snowman's neck, and then Charlie puts on the Jack Frost band button on the snowman. And then we cut to the next shot, and then he's putting on the scarf. And I'm like, okay, is there some time travel going on, or is this just continuity error? I thought that was like dropping a hint for time travel, but it wasn't. It was continuity.
No time travel in this movie. So he makes his snowman. He's kind of sad, but he's like, it's therapeutic for him. And he's like, it looks like he's finally starting to accept his dad dying. So he goes inside and plays his dad's harmonica, and then he goes to sleep. Turns out that the harmonica that his dad said was magical is magical, and the snowman turns into Jack Frost. Jack Frost turns into the snowman. They are one and the same.
41 minutes into the movie, we finally get the snowman.
We get the snowman.
He was not talking out of his ass. That shit was hella magic.
Big time magic. Big magic energy. Now Jack tries to meet Charlie.
BME.
It goes well as you think it would. Terrifies him. Jack comes to grips that he's a snowman pretty quickly.
For the audience, when Jack Frost reincarnates as a snowman, I think his first line is simply, I'm home. And he's waltzing on it's kind of like Paul Giamatti in Big Fat Liar when he turned blue from the dye in the pool. You're thinking, how are you not noticing that you're blue?
And this starts our long chain of snow puns. So I like to imagine that the writers sat in a room and just came up with as many snow-based puns as they could. And they were just like, yeah, this is good. Jack himself, a lot of like, I'm freezing my balls off. Ha 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 ha. I'm the man. No, I'm the snowman. You're just like, okay, Jack.
Jack has got the dad jokes, but he's like a dirty dad. He's like a cool dad with the dirty jokes. There's a lot of wiener jokes.
And they're all snow-based.
And when they're building the original snowman, Charlie says, don't forget the nose. And then he puts like the carrot or the stick like down where the penis is supposed to be. And he's like, no, I said nose. And Jack's like, oh, I thought you said hose. And we're like, oh, you're a funny dad, dude.
One part where he gets snowballs on his chest, look like boobies. And he's like, oh, and you're like, all right, what do we?
Okay. We're kind of losing the family friendly. Let's scale it back, Jack.
A little odd.
Yeah.
So Charlie doesn't believe that's his dad, but Charlie, of course, has like all these kind of movies. Jack uses his nickname Charlie Boy. Your son Charlie's like, you called me Charlie Boy? Only my dad would ever call me Charlie Boy.
It was a little bit of a weak reveal. It's like you got to have something that's way more detail oriented to like prove that, but whatever. We'll just let it slide.
The next part of the movie, the next like 30 minutes is Jack reconnecting with his son, teaching him all the values that he never got to teach him, all the how to do a certain hockey, slap shot or wrist shot kind of deal, the J shot they call it.
Because when he was a human dad, he was like, oh, let me show you the J shot. And then it's kind of like a thing where he scoops the puck and like whips it mid-air and then shoots it. And he's like, oh, you got to teach me that before my game. It's the game that he's going to miss eventually. We're thinking, okay, he's going to learn the J shot. He's going to have quality time with his dad because he's a snowman and he can't move that fast. But of course, there's all these shenanigans that happen. He gets run over by a snowplow. The snowplow driver is a problem.
Big problem.
Because during that super sad driveway scene, the snowplow, when you see those videos when cars drive over like a water puddle and just wreck somebody with water, they get drenched on the sidewalk. It's the same phenomenon, except Charlie is shuffling snow out of the driveway and the snowplow driver just shoves all the snow back in the driveway when he's like at rock bottom emotionally. And then Jack is outside. He just freaked out his son. He just freaked out himself. He saw his own reflection. And they have a dog named, is it Chester? Was that the name?
I forget the dog's name, to be honest.
This damn dog is just hanging outside. Is he not allowed
Always
inside?
Outside.
He's basically a feral dog.
I did notice there is a garage door, doggy door, a la Scream style.
I was going to say, was it Scream?
Yeah. I did notice that one time when the mom came home and pulled into the driveway. I saw a little doggy door in the garage, and I was like, okay. The dog's allowed to come in. Because I had the same question. This dog is just roaming outside in the snow.
Yeah, the dog like grabs his arm stick. The snowplow driver runs him over. There's all these like, oh, I'm getting used to my new snowman form, and it's just like little laughs for the audience, for the kids.
He's also at one point walks around downtown in their town, and like nobody there except for like an old like friend of his, Sid, who like almost runs him over.
Well, this is the hockey coach.
That's right. This is the insane hockey coach.
This is Henry Rollins, who was famous for being in a punk rock band in the 90s.
The front man of Black Flag.
He kind of found himself in a lot of acting roles, and he plays a very funny side character in this movie. Is the joke that he's like coming home from the bar and he's like kind of buzzed?
I don't know, but he freaks out, rightfully so, that this snowman knows his name.
And he's like, hey, Sid, hey, how's it going? And then he reverses the car. He does like a J turn. Speaking of J shot, he's out.
I wouldn't have thrown it in reverse. I would have kept it in drive and run this snowman over. I thought that's where we were headed with this.
I thought he was going to murder Jack for the second time in this movie, but he doesn't. So Sid going forward will have a lot of mistrust towards snowmen.
Yeah, there's even a small like local newsreel that it's on the TV at one point where he's like, yeah, there's a snowman. Everybody's like, oh, this guy's crazy. So throughout this time of Jack being a snowman, his mom thinks he's going crazy because he keeps hanging out with this snowman and talking to the snowman, rightfully so. But a glaring thing for me is Jack never reveals himself to his wife.
Yeah, it's only the kid, which seems like this also started the problem because once you just, because people don't believe kids.
Yeah.
So it's not restricted that only the kid can know. Because sometimes, when there's like talking animals and only the kid can hear them, or like Dr. Dolittle, it's like only Eddie Murphy can hear these animals and everyone else thinks he's crazy. That's not the case because Jack Frost can communicate with anybody. He freaked out Sid in the other scene. Why not just come forward to your wife?
Hey, honey, I'm a talking snowman.
during one of the crazy shenanigans side plots of being a snowman is we get into yet another snowball fight. So do these kids of Medford, Colorado just do snowball fights for like a job over winter
It looks
break?
like everyone just gathers in the same location and gets into these
elaborate snowball fights.
Normandy style battles.
Now, I want to give kudos to Jack Frost because they did it first. They did it before Elf.
Big Elf vibes.
I'm sure you thought of this right away when you saw it. Elf, Will Ferrell in the movie, he's really good at snowball fights because he's an elf and he was he was raised in the North Pole. So it's like a really,
I was born in it.
He's really good at crafting snowballs, and he's like a turret almost. He's ripping these off. Jack Frost technically did it first before Elf because he is ripping balls. More ball jokes.
Double barreled.
He's kind of going double windmills with his arms, and he's just hucking these snowballs at the bully kids.
I don't understand the properties of the snowman. Like in one scene, the dog is like snapping his arm off. I'm like, oh, those are some weak arms. The next scene, he's using his arms as like trebuchets, just ripping snowballs. You're like,
catapults, dude. He's overpowered in a snowball fight, and then obviously no one sees this, and they think it's Charlie doing this. So Rory Buck and the goons, what do they decide? It's a downhill chase time, baby. So they do a snowboard. Now the snowboard scene, Nick, it was very elaborate because I was like, are they on a ski run? Because this hill just keeps going.
Yeah, there's like a 3-mile decline somewhere in this town.
Right next to the main snowball fight hub.
That is perfectly powdered. I think he even says that, like, fresh powder, my favorite.
Ooh-wee.
You're like, okay. He also, one thing that's funny is like, as Jack Frost is going through the snow, rolling through the snow, sliding through the snow, he doesn't collect more snow like you'd expect, like a giant snowball rolling downhill. Like, I thought he'd maybe get bigger, collect some snow. I don't understand the properties of the snowman.
Just kind of like Hulk out.
Yeah.
Like Groot at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 when he becomes like Mega Groot.
Great call.
Yeah, Mega Chad, Giga Groot. But no, he remains the same. Nick, you don't snowboard, but I do.
Yes.
No, I don't, but I have. So they're on this super old-timey looking sled.
Yeah.
So this sled is it's literally just like a piece of wood, and with the art production design, very cutesy crafty curl in the front.
Super old school, like
it's almost like from the 50s, like some super polished pine, just old timey ass looking sled.
Yeah.
So Charlie and Jack are on the sled. They're trying to outrun the bullies on snowboards. There's like snow bikes, if that makes sense. They're trying to outmaneuver these guys. And then out of nowhere, Jack says, oh, we got to split up. And they split this sled perfectly in half. And without any boots, any bindings, they are just planted on this slick, flat piece of wood like a real snowboard.
Yes.
Charlie and Jack can shred. They can pull S-turns. They are just doing jumps and tricks. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
You could tell that the VFX team had mastered snow effects. And they were like, this scene is everything to us.
Hell yeah.
And they were just going for it.
Now, the moment we were all waiting for, they go to this secluded area on like a frozen lake. There's like maybe like a cavern nearby.
Dude, this cavern looks intense. This looks like a cavern from like Game of Thrones. Like it's very like mystical.
Yeah, this is like an ice cave.
Yeah, it's like a mystical meadow all frozen over.
Here's where we get we've had all these like out on the town. Oh my God, there's a snowman walking around. Shenanigans, snowball fights, snowboards, snow puns galore. And we get to this quiet scene where Jack and Charlie can finally have one-on-one dad-son time. Charlie has essentially said, like, I've given up on hockey. I don't like it. I'm done. And Jack is like, yo, like, let me teach you the J shot. And Charlie's reluctant. You know they're going to get to it. They get on the ice. They have their father-son time. It is kind of like the Band-Aid conversation of all of the dad lessons that Jack missed out on. And he makes a lot of like, just kind of half-assed. I mean, it's not Jack, it's the writers, but Charlie's like, oh, I don't know about this. I gave up on that. And And like in this hockey teaching training montage, Jack is like, oh, life is full of setbacks. Are you just going to give up or are you just going to keep on shooting the puck? He makes like a connection to hockey. It's like, all right, like this is like their healing moment verbally, because we've had like the physical comedy before this. And this is like their answer to the emotional mending between Jack and his son.
They just start ripping rocks with sticks. Like they don't have. Charlie randomly puts ice skates on. And I don't know where he had these. If they were in a backpack,
yeah, because he gave up hockey. You were packing skates. You totally emotionally gave up hockey.
No, he has skates, and he learns the J shot, and he's going to rejoin the hockey team.
Well, he's got to get back on the team first, so he needs permission from his friends. But before he gets permission from his friends, with Mac, they go to the what is the festival downtown?
Oh my gosh, what's it called? It's something like what is it?
I don't know. They go to like this winter festival downtown.
It's like Flurry Fest or something. It's something ridiculous.
They go down to like Flurry Fest downtown. He's hanging out with Mac, and Mac is giving more insight on Jack when he was in human form, and they literally walk past the father-son snowman building contest. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? And then at this point, we see a sad Rory Buck. We see the sad bully, because he's also just staring at the father-son snowman building contest, hella sad because his dad is hella gone. They make eye contact, so we're like, okay, a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah.
And then so the next day, Charlie's like, you know what? I'm going to mount up, and I'm going to ask my friends that if I can get back on the hockey team.
Hockey coach even picks him up, and they make a funny thing where he's talking to his dad, the snowman, and they're like, he's still talking to the snowman. And Sid, who Jack Frost scared in the earlier scenes, like, yo,
he had the DUI encounter with Jack as a snowman.
Yeah, was like, shut your mouth. By the way, I just remember it's called Shiverfest. That's where the father-son snowman building contest is. So Charlie's going to go to his hockey game, and he's like, all right, Dad, I'll see you after the game. And Jack's like, when does the puck drop? He's like, 11:30, but like, you don't have to come. You're a snowman. It's totally fine.
Seriously, logistically, I get it.
Jack Frost is like, I'm going to this hockey game. So he's going to traverse town on a sled pulled by his, 20-pound dog. And at first you're like, oh, that's never going to work. And he's like, come on, do you have any friends who are like huskies or, Siberian hounds or, Burmese mountain dogs? And you're like, it's funny.
He's like super quippy. He's like Spider-Man with the quips, dude. Like he is just pulling out joke after joke after joke.
But then this 20-pound dog actually does end up pulling him all the way across town.
Chester is built different, and I don't know what to say about that.
But then he gets to the parking lot, and he has to cross this dreaded asphalt parking lot before, to get to the hockey rink. And he's like, all right, let's do this. And he like making his way across the asphalt, like, ho, hot, hot, hot.
Holy habanero.
And then halfway through, he just like slips and like falls down, but then he like just slides forward.
Some rando guy opens the back door, and like, I assume he's running to the porta potty to go take a dump, because he is just like not acknowledging the sliding snowman careening towards the door.
But he gets in.
Yeah, Jack makes it to the game.
And he gets to see his son Charlie make the game-winning goal. Why wouldn't he?
I think it's actually Charlie's very first shot that he made.
First goal ever, yeah. It's the game winner. Big deal. He's so proud of his son, but I guess while he's inside the hockey arena, it is now too warm for him, and he starts snowman dying. I don't know. I don't really know why this
snowman dying, aka melting, is the equivalent of someone dying from a terminal illness, I guess.
But he's not quite melting. He's just like, Dad, you don't look so good. He's just like, he hasn't melted. He hasn't melted away. His mass hasn't gone down. He's just like, I'm proud of you, son.
He's just really, he's really beady. He's really beady with sweat.
Yeah,
but it's not sweat. It's just melted water, because science.
So Charlie doesn't know what to do. He's freaking out because his dad's melting in front of him. This kid's traumatized as shit. He runs to the bank where his mom works. He's like, Mom, you have to help me, the snowman. And his mom's like, oh, God, my son's a nut job.
She's like, dude, I'm in the middle of a shift, dude. Like, I can't just leave and drive to the cabin.
She's like, snowmans melt. And he's like, no, the snowman is dad. And she's like, this is the first I'm hearing of this in the middle of this really busy day at the bank, which is apparently Christmas Eve.
Wow.
We find out later, where the bank should be super closed. And she's like, dad died. And he's like, ugh, like he's like annoyed with his mom. It's like, what do you want her to do? This kid just pouts and gets his way. He pouted when his dad wasn't going to be there for Christmas, got his dad super killed. Now he pouts when his mom, who's a single mother providing for the family, pouts when his mom won't leave her shift to take her snowman to the mountains.
This kid hates financial responsibility, and
he doesn't get it. And he's getting a lot of people killed. He's getting people killed because of his immaturity.
He's like, fine, I'll do it myself, just like Thanos.
I'll do it myself.
He's like, I'm gonna get my dad up to the cabin. It's cold up in the mountains. I got this. And he finds like this log truck that I guess he knows is gonna make it up to the mountains. And who comes strolling out of a skateboard shop, because this is the 90s and you have to have snowboards and skateboards in the mix? Rory fucking Buck.
His bully.
He's like, Charlie, time to settle this once and for all. Jack speaks up. He kind of freaks out Rory, and he starts speaking at him as a snowman.
Starts roasting him.
Because Rory says, I don't know what's stupider, you or your snowman. And then Jack's like, stupider? Kind of word is stupider, you dumb bitch. And then Rory's like, what? Who said that? Charlie reveals to Rory, like,
this is my dad.
Yo, meet my dad. He's actually dead, and he's a snowman, and he's about to be dead again because he's gonna melt.
Rory's like, all right.
And he literally says, like, you know what it's like to not have a dad. I was like, whoa, like, low blow. Jeez, Charlie. Like,
first of all,
blow.
you're assuming that Rory just accepts that this is a snowman dad. He's like, this is my dad. He's gonna die. You know what it's like to not have a dad. And Rory's like, yeah. It sucks. Let's get him in the truck.
Oh, he says a great line. He says, all right, well, snow dad's better than no dad. And I'm like, you guys take dad trauma with a grain of fucking salt, dude. You guys are champs.
So they get him into the truck and they arrive at this isolated cabin, the one that they were going to go to for Christmas.
Before they do, the problematic snowplow driver almost T-bones this truck and causes the log jam truck to smash his face into his red icy. And he actually gets a little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer nose from his icy.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with the snowplow. Is the snowplow guy, it seems like he's like a catalyst character, because he is causing a lot of things to happen.
He just locks eyes with the log truck guy and they're just like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Like they just like laugh. You're like,
he just like jams some music and drives a snowplow around. And back to snow day, big snow day energy with the snowplow driver.
They make it up to the cabin. This is the family cabin they were going to stay at the start of the movie, where if Jack tries to get to on his way to death, and they hang out there and they're like, oh yeah. And then Charlie falls asleep. Then the snowman, this is the most, I mean, we could go back and forth about the snowman effects and like the graphic and the VFX of it all. But the one part that really disturbed me is when the snowman leans down to give his son a kiss on the forehead when he's sleeping, and the snowman gets these snow lips that protrude. And it's fucking freaky, dude. It was so unsettling. That was the one part. Apparently there is a working phone line at the cabin, though. And at this working phone line, Jack calls his wife and says, I have Charlie. He's up at the cabin, which should be really creepy.
Okay, I was going to say, speaking of unsettling, this fucking phone call was hella creepy. Because I know this is supposed to be heartfelt, but if it wasn't for the music score, this phone call scene would be hella creepy. Because it sounds like someone kidnapped Charlie.
This kid is missing. The mom rushes to the phone when the phone's ringing because she can't find
the
her son.
The mom already called the police, and the police is like getting descriptions of the snowman and what he looks like. They're treating this as a missing persons case after being gone for like 3 hours.
And she answers the phone. She's like, hello?
And he's like, hey, Gab. And she's like, who is this? And he says,
I have Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. He's at the cabin. You better come get him. And then she's like, Jack? And then we hear a dial tone. I was like, F that. Do not, like, bring the SWAT. Bring the SWAT team if you go to the cabin. Fuck this
bring
shit,
reinforcements.
Dude. Hell no, dude.
Hello? Hello?
Gabby,
Did you find him?
Charlie's sleeping. Gab, having one heck of a day.
Who is this? Where's Charlie?
He's right here at the cabin. Why don't you come get him?
Jack?
Charlie wakes up in the morning. It's Christmas morning. Jack's outside. And they're like, this is the best Christmas ever. Jack tells him, I have to go. I can't be a snowman forever. And you're going to have to let me go. And then Gabby arrives. And I was shocked because he called the night before and Gabby arrives in the morning. Your son is missing. So like I was like, oh, Gabby's like getting in the car. She's on her way to the cabin right now.
So the log truck got there, from sun up to sundown. But how long did it take Gabby to get there? Did she just leave early in the morning? She's like, it's like midnight. I'm not going to go up there right now. I'll leave.
I'm going to go find my missing son.
Let me go get 5 hours of sleep, and then I'll head up to the mountain house.
I need at least 5, and then I'm going to drive up to go find my son.
In my beauty sleep, if I'm going to meet my murderer.
Yeah, Gabby walks up, and I don't understand the magic of this snowman thing because Jack like takes a step back and like lifts his arms up, and there's just this magical swirl around him, and
the swirl.
He becomes like Ghost Jack.
Ghost Jack.
Like he sheds his earthly snowman form and becomes this like spirit, and he just like looks at his wife and he's like, Gab. She's like, sing for me. You're like, she should be a lot more shocked about what's happening right now. Everyone should be a lot more concerned about this voodoo magic that they're witnessing.
Damn secret rocks.
He tells Charlie that he'll be with him wherever he goes, and then he just kind of yeets off like the Sandman in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3.
And that is Jack Frost.
That's Jack Frost for you.
Directed by Troy Miller. And I have to say, just going off that energy from that last scene.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's kind of like a creepy looking guy. And I don't know if it's just because like I associate him with the other guys and Spider-Man Homecoming when he plays the Vulture, but he just plays like the creepy guy so well that like whenever he tries to be like romantic or like a loving dad, I'm just like, you're kind of creepy. Like, and I'm not buying it. So that last line when he floats away into the wind like Sandman and he says, I'll always hear you. It's just like, what the hell?
It started with like, I'll always be with you in your heart. And you're like, and he's like, I'll always hear you.
I'll always hear you.
I will always hear you.
He's kind of like, he's a little goofy looking, right? Like,
well, the version
Beetlejuice vibes.
The version of Jack from the start of the movie, he was a lot more like vibrant and like a music singer, and like he looked fine. And then the version of Jack after he sheds his snowman form looks like he's aged 15 years. Like he looks a lot creepier. Like he looks a lot older, and he still has like the
lot of wrinkles in there.
He still has this rock star earrings in, but his like hairline's receding a little more. It looks like
he has the Vulture eyebrows.
Yeah, his smile looks really sinister, and that's when he hits you with the "I'll always hear you," and you're like, "Oh." I don't like that.
Like I'm up to something right now.
It's like very sinister. I don't like it.
This is the point of the episode where we go over nitpicks. Nick, you got any nitpicks? Nitpicks.
I do. I brought it up a little bit, but I want to flush it out a little. Why was he sick all of a sudden after the hockey game?
Well, I'll answer this because it was getting hot. Like, so there throughout the movie, there's like a radio DJ, like, hey, boppas. It's like a pseudo narrator kind of deal, like half-ass narrator. Oh, like here's the new hot song from the Jack Frost band. And then, oh, it's going to be a hot one out in Medford, Colorado. So they do drop hints. So I think it's just like, it's like a freakishly hot winter. So he's like kind of starting to lose his schmelt.
I just thought maybe he'd start declining a little more gradually. Like,
no, he just hits a wall, dude. It's climate change.
he straight up hits the wall. I thought maybe it'd be like, oh, Dad, are you okay? No, I'm fine. and he like tries to hide it, but he's like, no, I'm good. I make this trek across town to see my son play hockey. I was just teaching him the J shot. Everything's good. And then, I'm dying.
Honestly, I think it was the parking lot. That pavement looked hella hot.
That asphalt just got him.
It was like steaming, evaporating ice off the ground. Yeah, no, I get it.
That's my nitpick.
My nitpick is the legend of Jack Frost. So I was thinking, why is Michael Keaton's character named Jack Frost? Because Jack Frost, he's not really like a historical figure. It's really just like more of a phrase, more of a figure of speech. Like, oh,
like
Jack,
Old Man Winter.
Yeah,
kinda.
Jack Frost is going to get you. And Jack Frost meaning like it's like characterizing winter, essentially.
Yeah.
But Jack Frost has been a character in other media like Rise of the Guardians or the Santa Claus 3 or that old claymation thing where he kind of plays like an anti-hero or like a villain.
He's like a legendary figure. Like
and people make like ties back to Norse mythology, and like some people say, oh, he's from Anglo-Saxon lore. It's just like, all right, well, it just seems like Jack Frost is like the embodiment of winter.
Yeah.
So my nitpick is, why did you name him Jack Frost? Because he's definitely more like Frosty the Snowman.
Well, it's also very much like it's brought up in the movie where he's like, why did I have to be turned into a snowman? He's like, is it because my name is Jack Frost? It's like,
yeah,
clearly, there's a connection between your name and like this legendary figure of Jack Frost.
Because I was going to say,
was it a sick joke by your parents?
I was going to say, is Jack Frost the slang, the phrase, the mythical character for winter? Is he canon in this 1998 Jack Frost movie or no?
I had that question as well about the band, like the Jack Frost band. I'm like, are they a Christmas band?
Yeah.
It didn't sound like it. It sounded like they were like a hit everyday band. I was like, well, that's a terrible name if you're not a Christmas band.
Because it's very confusing. Because if people saw this movie and that was the only thing they saw, and someone said Jack Frost, they'd be like, oh, the snowman. They'd be like, what? No, like the embodiment of winter. He has like magical powers. He's mischievous. He's Jack Frost.
He brings winter with him. He like brings the cold.
He's nipping at your nips.
Yeah.
So my nitpick was just, why name him Jack Frost if you're not going to actually do Jack Frost? You should have named him Jack Frosty, and then it would have been Frosty the Snowman.
I thought it was going to be like the Santa Claus, where like you are just the next iteration of Jack Frost. There always has to be a Jack Frost in the world.
Yes.
And we pegged you to be Jack Frost, but that's not the case.
No, he just happens to be, he's just a guy who happens to be named Jack Frost. So it was a little confusing.
It's lazy. It's lazy.
That's my nitpick.
Okay.
My next nitpick is, does he sleep? Because
it doesn't appear so.
Because it seems like he just like stares off into space for 8 hours. And then Charlie walks out in the morning and says, hey, Dad. And then all of a sudden his dad like wakes up. He's like, oh, sorry. I just blacked out for 8 hours.
He just like shuts down like a computer.
Yeah,
because
he's not like on his side sleeping. He just like is standing up and just staring off into space. I was like, is he awake this whole time?
Always awake. His existence as Jack Frost the Snowman is more like a punishment. Like it sounds like a personal hell.
It sounds like a prison.
Yeah, it's like this is your punishment.
Okay, stare off into space for 8 hours in the middle of the night in the cold.
You can't sleep. Your family doesn't know who you are. You're a snowman. You can't walk properly. You're like, oh god, this is like a hellscape.
You got thruffle across the parking lot.
Oh, I love it. All right, James, do you have any like talking points? What do you think?
Oh, I have
like,
talking points.
All right.
So let's just talk about the snowman design. So first off, Jim Henson's Creature Shop actually was behind the practical puppeteering of the snowman. I have to say, pretty impressive, because I thought, is this a guy in a suit? No, it can't be, because his stick arms are literally sticks. The puppeteering, I think, was pretty impressive, but at the same time, super unsettling and creepy. What do you think of the snowman design?
It was honestly, I didn't hate it. I thought the puppeteering was actually done pretty well.
No, it was. But let me say this. Jim Carrey's The Grinch, Mike Myers, The Cat in the Hat, a little bit like unsettling in some ways, but impressive special effects and makeup. And then you look at something like Illumination's animated Grinch movie, and you're thinking this is way more palatable for an audience. I'm not creeped out. I'm like attracted to the screen because of the animation. But these late 90s, early 2000s special effects are like, I'm kind of landing in that uncanny valley and I'm a little creeped out. I'll tell you what, like halfway through his snowman form, I was like, why does he have irises? Why? Because he
can see colors, James.
So snowmen or snow people, they have coals, right? That's like the old timey, like this is your eyes and your buttons. So he has just like these big black coals for eyes. But then when he becomes like a spirit, he grows irises, and they're very hard to see because they're like dark blue. It creeped me out. I was like, oh God, I'm looking into your soul and I don't like it. I don't like this.
No.
Because they're not real eyes. He'll be having a scene with Charlie. He's like, oh, hey, Charlie, I know you. I know I messed up as a dad. And he's staring off into like one single spot on the screen. And I'm just like, I'm staring at your dead eyes. And this is so creepy.
Look into my eyes, Charlie. Look into my eyes.
It's kind of creepy. Like what was your thoughts on the design and the execution?
Some things shouldn't be brought to life in live action. The Cat in the Hat, The Grinch, and snowmen. They're better animated. It just is unsettling. It's an inanimate object that is now moving and emoting.
For me, this Jack Frost snowman looked a little Trumpy. Did he look like Donald Trump to you a little bit?
Yeah.
It kind of added to like the repulsion I had because I was like, because Donald Trump already kind of looks like mashed potatoes as a person.
It's a weird body.
Well, like his face is like real mushy and like his eyes are like squinty and then like his mouth like moved up and down. Like I'm like, this looks like Donald Trump the snowman.
Charlie, I will be at your hockey game.
Charlie, don't be afraid. I'm just a snowman.
I'm the best snowman there's ever been. No one's debates it. I'm the best snowman. So fun fact about the design for the character, Jack Frost was actually designed to look a little bit like George Clooney, because George Clooney was actually supposed to play Jack Frost. So as you know, got a little bit of the square jaw, a little bit of the kind of those eyebrow raises. You're like, it's a little Clooney-esque. I can see it.
I can 100% see that. The snowman definitely looks way more like George Clooney than Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's like too thin of a detailed face, whereas George Clooney's a little bit more smooth. And I think I was reading that they tried to like last minute fix how the snowman can look like Michael Keaton by giving him those crazy eyebrows. And that was it.
That's all we got. How do we make him look more like Keaton?
Bushy eyebrows.
Eyebrows. And then the director was supposed to be Sam Raimi.
Of all people.
Out
when
Clooney pulled out, he was like, I'm not doing a snowman movie if it doesn't have Clooney in it.
So this is bizarre. So there's a little bit of an entanglement here with snowmen, with Batman, and with Warner Brothers. So George Clooney he bails last minute on this role because he wants to go pursue Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
which of course we all know as apparently a terrible movie.
It's the one where the bat suit had the nipples.
Yeah, so Clooney's like, I'm not going to be creepy snowman with the eyebrows. I'm going to be unsettling Batman with the rubber nipples. Thank you very much. So Sam Raimi's like, well, all right, well, I'm out. And then so Warner Brothers, they lose George Clooney to a Batman movie, but they're like, we'll just get another Batman and get Michael Keaton in the mix. Batman. Yeah.
If you think you're Batman, we're going to get the real Batman.
It's like a love triangle between Warner Brothers, Batman, and Jack Frost the Snowman. You were talking to me before. How would this alter Sam Raimi's trajectory as a director? Like, what if he directed Jack Frost and it was like fire? And he's like, I'm a Christmas guy now. I'm directing Christmas movies. This is me. Or same phenomenon as this timeline. What if Jack Frost, directed by Sam Raimi, bombed? And he was, and Hollywood was like, we cannot hire you. You did the bomb flop. Jack Frost, kiss Peter Parker goodbye. You will not direct the trilogy.
Yeah, that's where my mind goes directly. Is we wouldn't get the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, and that would make me sad.
I'm happy and unfolded as it did.
Me too. My last talking point here is what is the magic that brings him to life?
Well, Nick, if you're looking for an answer, this movie will not supply it. That's why we're here, baby. Let's connect the dots here.
Is the harmonica actually magic? Is it the love for his son? Why did it take a year?
Yeah, so I had the same question because this is just a huge thing they just gloss over.
Yeah.
They build a snowman. He's given a harmonica. I think it's on the same night as they build the snowman.
Yes.
And that's the only connection to it. Michael Keaton dies. A year later, I guess it's like the first time Charlie plays the harmonica, and he doesn't even play it; just blows into it. Doesn't know how to play a harmonica.
If he played it in the autumn, would he have been a scarecrow? Like what are the properties of this harmonica?
Well, what are the properties of Jack Frost? So maybe going back to my nitpick about why is he called Jack Frost and not just Frosty the Snowman? I think Jack Frost has not unlocked certain powers that he has. I think he's selling himself short. In the middle of the movie, he kind of does drop hints that he is a mythical being, because during the snowman fight, he says, "I'm the Wizard of Blizzard." It might be during the hockey training scene, but he does say, I think he's talking to Charlie about the bullies, and he says, "What do you want me to do? Zap him into ice?"
Zap him into ice! Zap him into ice! Get real! I don't even have pockets!
Dude, if there's like a Jack Frost trilogy and he, like the third movie, he unlocks all of his Jack Frost powers, I think he's actually overpowered.
Dude.
Because he goes out on his own terms. He says, "It's time for me to go."
That was my other question. He doesn't just go off and melt in the wilderness. He like ascends into the heavens.
And so that's a problem I have with the ending, because I was like, okay, they could totally end this at the hockey game, because we come full circle emotionally. He taught his son how to do the hockey maneuver. He saw his son's game. He saw his son score a goal. He can melt in the ice rink and it'd be a happy ending. But it wouldn't be like an epic symbolic ending, because they needed to go to the cabin that he missed out on. But once they're at the cabin, he's fine. It's cold up there and he can live in the snow. And then he's like, gotta go.
Imagine how heartbreaking of an ending. All right, alternate ending for you. Heartbreaking ending.
Oh no.
He's the snowman, right? And he tells him, "I have to go now." He leaves the snowman's body, but the snowman's still there. But the spirit leaves the snowman. So now it's just another lifeless snowman. Mom pulls up and goes, "Charlie." And Charlie's like shaking the snowman like, "Dad," but it's just a snowman. And Mom's like, "My son's gone crazy." And the kid just loses it, weeping in the snow.
So that's actually how my wife thought this movie was going to end. She's like, "Oh my God, he's going to go away and the mom's not going to ever know." But fortunately, she knows. But I think Jack Frost has not unleashed all of his powers. I think he's more powerful than he knows. He just needs to unlock those powers somehow. I need a Jack Frost 2 and a Jack Frost 3. Jack Frost versus Frosty the Snowman. Which reminds me, I need to ask Google, like, what is the difference? So just bear with me, Nick. Hey, Google. Frosty the Snowman versus Jack Frost.
Jack Frost and Frosty the Snowman are evenly matched. They are both quick thinkers and are known for their speed and being Christmas related. Frosty the Snowman wins this match thanks to the fact that he may have some very mild super strength.
So there you have it. Google says Jack Frost is jacked. He's more like jacked Frost. So I'm thinking Michael Keaton's Jack Frost is holding back, because he may have gotten his dog Chester to bite off his arm, but he was ripping snowballs. And in Jack Frost lore, he can control the weather. So I'm thinking there's like some sort of Dark Phoenix Nexus moment that needs to happen with Jack Frost, and he'll start levitating and thruffling all over these hoes.
He's also pretty indestructible. When he gets run over by the snowplow, he like reassembles his body.
Yeah, and it just adds to the creepy factor. I'm like, he could become if he sees himself live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
I just tied it back to another Batman property. So what's up?
He comes back. Who left the fridge open?
Oh, man.
We know it's a bomb, and now comes our time.
Damn.
To guess
our
budget.
I totally forgot I was doing
this.
It's
time for you to guess the budget and the box office. We're going worldwide box office.
Okay, I'm just going to go towards a movie that I think is kind of similar. I'm going to look at our Flubber budget, which was a flop that we flop busted back in season 1. So Flubber had a budget of $80 million. It came out a year prior. And I'm thinking it's the same thing as like production quality and storytelling. Flubber was Disney. This is WB. It's like, what are the WB? What's the WB world like versus Disney? I feel like WB was in dire straits at this time because they, like we said, they had Batman and Robin. They had this movie. I didn't really think there's a lot going on for them in the mid to late 90s. Whereas Disney is just a behemoth in the industry. So I feel like they got that money. Oh boy. So I'm just going to say that this movie had a budget of $75 million.
Okay.
And if I do the math there, so I only have like a certain percentage I can cross over. I'll multiply that by 60. All right. So I'm going to say that this raked in $30 million at the box office. Because I'm thinking, you had Jim Henson's Creature Shop doing the practical effects. You did have ILM doing CGI. You have Michael Keaton. He's a household name at this point. And this actually was filmed in and around the Truckee, Tahoe, and Reno area for the exterior shots. And then there was a lot of soundstage work at Burbank, WB Studios. It's like, I don't know how much it costs to film there. I don't know how much Michael Keaton costs, but I'm just going to say that $75 million budget and $30 million box office.
I gotta be honest, James, this may be the closest we've ever come.
No fucking way.
Yeah. So we have an $85 million budget.
Oh, it was Flubber related.
It was. And the worldwide gross is $34.5 million.
I'll take that. Would you call that a W?
I'd call that a W.
Last time I felt like this, I got crueled because because as we know, the cruel rule, we got to check our sources. So let me just make sure that Jack Frost budget. Okay. So the Google immediate answer is 85 million. Box Office Mojo says 85 million.
Wikipedia says anywhere between 40 and 85. So
okay, well, fuck off, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Wikipedia does say it went on to gross over $34.5 million. Okay, all right. I'll take that to the literal bank. All right, good for me.
You should. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Good for me.
What do you say you give me a sarcastic selling point here?
This is a live action Frosty the Snowman, but it's called Jack Frost.
Interesting. You went in a similar direction as I did. I said, it's Frosty the Snowman from a kid's perspective where his dad is super dead.
Final review. Fight.
Looking at Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, 19% thought this was an okay movie. That's yikes. That is hella fucking low.
That's pretty bad.
That is super low.
The audience, though, said it's a 40%er. So, audience, a little bit more of a fan.
Still not stellar from the audience. Related to that, the Metacritic critics, also a 40. They gave this a score of a 40, translates to a 4.0 on our scale. So, we can kind of see this coming into flop territory. Let's see who's going to save it.
Okay. The Metacritic people score, and I think there was only 8 reviews from the people. So this carried it. This kept it out of our 40-40 territory.
Shout out to those 8 people.
The people here gave it an 8.1.
Wow.
That's wild to me.
And now for our snow plowing, all go, no snow, jolly snow job score from IMDb, a frosty 5.4.
Look at us.
Just killing it on that synchronized recital right there. No one can stop us now.
They cannot. Can't stop me now.
No one can stop us now.
Snow buddy.
Okay, let me hit you with a laughable log line, followed by my popcorn points and my overall thoughts on this festive jolly holly ho ho snowman movie. A blues musician. He's not a magician. A blues musician trying to make it big for his family has the opportunity to make it big for his family, but being that it would hurt his family's feelings in the short run, while being a major financial benefit in the long run, he decides to not take a chance to make it big and instead decides to take a chance on his life, dies, and comes back a year later to teach his son hockey as a snowman. I think I'm going to slap this with a 6.4.
Okay.
Just looking at my ratings here, and I'm falling victim to referring back to older movies and how they landed for me. Like Flubber, I gave a 6.3. My Brother the Pig is in the 5s. Cruel is a 5.6. I think this just kind of lands. I would be in that Rotten Tomatoes category of rotten just by a small margin. Rotten Tomatoes 6.5 is it's the binary system of 65% thumbs up, 64 and below thumbs down. So I think this movie, it did have some good heart to it. I did literally cry during a couple of these scenes. I was like, God damn it, you got me there. But it is pretty sloppy and the snowman scenes are pretty creepy. And I think Michael Keaton and George Clooney was supposed to be the dad, which would be a little bit more heartwarming and accepting to the audience. But Michael Keaton's just so creepy as a snowman. It's just a little bit unsettling. I think the pacing is a little bit off. The story arcs are a little bit weak, but I think my positive points really come from the, God, it's like a really catch-22 here because the effects and the puppeteering are very impressive. I love practical effects. CGI was used in this movie in parts, but I gotta give kudos to like going for it and puppeteering a snowman. I think it's like actually engineer wise, like very impressive, but at the same time, it's like super unsettling and super creepy. And I will give this movie this. I don't understand Michael Keaton's powers in this movie, and I think he needs to unlock more of them in Jack Frost 2, Jack Frost's Revenge. But I did really respect that they finalized his death. They had to send him off, and he's like, "Look, we can't have the happy ending. I'll always be with you, and I got to go." Like I came back. I got my second chance to be a dad. It's very heartwarming, and it's like it's killer because you always want a happy ending for some folks, but I gotta give this movie kudos for saying no. The dad's got to go away after he redeems his son's relationship after he's been neglecting him for his musician job. But at the same time, there's just so many things like you and I don't agree with. Like, no, he should go be a musician. He's not a bad dad. He's really just like trying his best. He's just trying his best. And at the end of the day, he dies in a car crash and becomes a snowman. And then
it's just, that's his best.
Needs to make snow puns. I don't think it's a must watch, but I think it'll do the job. If you have nothing else, if you've watched all your Christmas movies, I think you can give Jack Frost a watch. Don't expect anything great, but expect Michael Keaton with bushy eyebrows as a snowman with dead eyes.
Super dead eyes. Yeah. Okay. Nice. My laughable log line. I said, when a decent dad dies because he is guilt tripped by his son, he comes back through some unexplained voodoo magic as a pun-inspired snowman and neglects his wife while traumatizing his son.
Just lay it
2.9.
I was gonna say, just lay it on it. It's all good.
2.9. I don't like the message of this movie, to be honest. Like I said, I don't think he was a bad dad. His son guilt trips him. Then he tries guilt tripping his mom later on. Like, Mom, why don't you just leave your job and help me save Snowman Dad that I haven't told you about? This kid's pouty. The puppeteering, yeah, fine, but I mean, from the second he becomes a snowman to the moment he dies is just empty calories. It's pretty forgettable. The story arcs, I don't understand the magic behind it. If the kid was going to learn a lesson, his lesson should have been like, hey, sometimes adults have to make decisions to go to work to support you. So you need to deal with that. You need to be okay, like accepting the realities. No, the what his son learned was that magic will intervene and make you happy. But that's not how life works there, bucko. All right? Sometimes life comes at you hard, life comes at you fast, and when you guilt trip your parents to make you happy, they die. No, I thought it was just a lot of empty calories. This is right in line with Horse Sense Jumping Ship for me. It's just like, all right, we did the thing. I don't think this was worth spending $85 million on.
Wait, you think Horse Sense is a better movie than this?
Did it not have pretty much the same like values to it? Dead dad, I got to reconcile my feelings, through things. Oh, my mom's struggling. She's a single mom. But in the end, like I learned my lesson and got to reconcile my feelings. It's the same. It's the same empty calories for me.
I think Jack Frost is a little bit better than Michael Woods, but all right.
It's very similar, right? So
you could give it like a 4 or something. Come on.
I could have, but I didn't, and I won't.
I feel like we're kind of reminiscing on them Free Willy days because I feel like I rated that movie off my feelings as opposed to logistics. Whereas you were just looking at this from a straight up logistical standpoint, like, no, this doesn't make any logistical sense. I don't like this. The snowman doesn't make sense. The decisions don't make sense. The morals don't make sense. The storytelling doesn't make sense. And that's why we're a perfect yin and yang. And I think this lands on average from Just Play It as a 4.65, which translates to stale popcorn. Oh no.
It is kind of stale popcorn though. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves.
So for me, this was unseasoned but fresh popcorn. For you, this was the popcorn machine is out of order. Like you came up with a bag for refill and you are walking away from the concession stand with an empty bag.
I showed up wanting something and got nothing in return. And that's exactly how I feel about the movie. Empty calories. Like I said, it's just too many puns too. A lot of just unnecessary puns. I'm like, what is the relationship?
No way, dude. The puns
between this is dad.
They were fine. No, it was too many puns. So somehow this Venn diagram of empty bag and unseasoned popcorn meshes well into unfortunately stale popcorn from Just Play It, which I think I am comfortable with. I'm really happy that I have you across the board because I'm acting on my heart and you're acting on your brain on this one. And sometimes we flip flop. That's usually how we role play though. I'm usually the heart, you're usually the brain, but I need the brain and you need the heart. And I think this sits well as stale popcorn.
And that's what makes the Christmas magic, my friend.
All right. Well, that is Jack Frost. And that is this week's episode. Holly jolly, festive Christmas times to be had. You got a hint for next week's watch. We know it's Christmas related. Holiday.
We
related.
do. I guess I'll just say it involves our favorite fat holly jolly fella and what I assume to be some aliens.
Let's just say this is old Saint Nick going toe to toe with the beings of Mars.
There it is.
I mean, I don't think I can get any more clear than that. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Just Play It Podcast. Please follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Just Play It Pod. Please follow us. Please find us. Keep on listening. We're heading gone. We're out of here. We're gonna hit the old sleigh ride, and we're gonna sail on into next week when we watch this crazy ass movie. You're not gonna want to miss it. And remember, if you got a bag of money dangling in front of your eyes, but you got a guilt tripping son at the cabin, do not turn around. Do not engage. Go towards that money. Chase that paper. Do not die and crash off a mountain. Live your life. Be a musician. Get paper, baby, because that's the only way to live.
Stay frosty. You don't have to come. You're a snowman. It's totally fine.
This is so sad. I didn't think I was going to cry at Jack Frost from 1998.